right, with that, I just saw that we are kicked off and we're rolling. So, hey, welcome in everyone. If anyone else joins, they're welcome to come in at any time. You're also welcome to interrupt me at any time. The chat's probably the best way to do that. If you have a question, you want me to dive into something a little bit differently, maybe we have 20 minutes here to try to run through how to scale your business with on-demand interconnection. So this is our chance to dive in just a little bit more to some software-defined networking, software-defined interconnection, and more on this. And those are some pretty deep concepts. So again, feel free to stop me if you have a question. That probably means someone else does too. So we should take that and run with it. Don't keep it to yourself. We can share here. We're friends. All right, with this, let's jump right in. Background, the situation. Really here to thrive as a business, you have to interact with another provider. With other businesses. You can't do it on your own, really, especially in the landscape today where all of our applications are digital, where we're really talking and focusing on cloud today too, right? So you're going to need to come in and do business with someone else in some way, usually from two different angles. It is either one, you are using it for your own internal corporate service or consumption. So this could be a development environment on a cloud for your own team to develop your own cloud resources. It could be your Salesforce instance. It could be an internet connection for your company to get to the internet. Just basic internal, this is you consuming. You are a consumer of a service, but you need to get to that service somehow. And typically as a business, you want to do it privately and securely and in a flexible, cost affordable, all the good ways. But you need something to come inbound. The other would be kind of an outbound. It's part of your product catalog. So you are taking a service, you are building on top of it, and you are presenting that back to the world for them to purchase, for them to use. So some examples of this would be that you are a network services provider and you provide, say, managed scanning or firewall service or transport on top of another connection. Or you are hosting a website or some detail and you need to do that on top of an internet connection in an IP block publicly. It could be that you are combining your service with something on Amazon or Google or in some other way to sell your product to the world. There's all these different ways of doing it, but we put you in a slightly different camp here, I do personally, because it is part of your product catalog. It is something you're building on. Again, it's more outbound. It's egress. You are getting data to people rather than pulling just in for your own private usage. But really what you're trying to do in the end is do this somehow quickly, affordably, privately. And the reason you're talking to Clogix now, probably, or here selling or working with us is because Clogix has an ecosystem that is focused on this, right? So at the core, we have our carrier hotels where all the fiber comes in and out of. With that, you get all these service providers kind of on the left-hand side here. So we'll use the mouse to point a bit. So all these people like you've seen before, Bell, Verizon, GTT, Zayo, Lumen, and more, who help to manage your network and your network connection and get you to your customers or get services back to you. Alongside those, you have these internet exchanges who help to connect these providers and others together and help others to peer to them easily. And on top of those, you start to build with all these other services that, again, either they are using these internally for their own usage, maybe if they get backbone connections through Zayo or others, or maybe they're using it to serve their office or their equipment for a product in an outbound way. So all these groups, they start to build on each other, and they've done it to build this amazing Clogix ecosystem centered around these carrier hotels for this connectivity, really focused on one product that makes it all happen, and that is the cross connect. So what we're doing here in the middle, we have these cross connects that are helping to bring our customers together, bring the ecosystem together again for these two uses, for outbound products or for inbound services that you have. Cross connects, though, are really inflexible. They are fantastic. They do a great job of privately and securely across a single data center floor, getting your company to another business to build your product or get you to a service, right? But it's a cable. It's a basic standard cable, and you've got to go through this big manual process to get that connected to someone else, right? You've got to make sure you have the same type of cable, you're using the same connectors, you have the same layer 1 communication standard, and you're negotiating that speed in the right way on the right kind of link, bringing up that base link layer. And then you're got to make sure you have your same layer 2 standard, and you're doing your tagging and VLAN and MAC management in the same way, and broadcast management in the same way. And then you've got to get to your routing and your peering and all that, and it gets wild. So if you can do this in software, and the software can manage it and can manage compatibility for you, you can go a lot faster. That's kind of our key here. We're going to talk about just a little bit more today and evolution of the industry and how we're going to be doing that. So how did we start as a company a little bit, and what's kind of the foundation I'm talking about here? That is Ecologic's Cloud Connect platform. So we started in 2016 saying that, well, customers want to get to these services to, like I said before, either outbound, they want to do it to build a product on a cloud to get that out to the addressable audience so they can sell that product, or they want to use cloud for internal projects, for internal corporate usage to bring that inbound, get that back to their company in some way. One of the best ways to do that was to come into Ecologic's data center, be right next to an on-ramp for that cloud. So that's network equipment owned by Amazon or IBM or Oracle, IBM or Google, Azure, so on. So you would come into our data center floor, you would put down your equipment there, you would then connect to our switches, which would help transport you to one of these clouds. That was kind of the start of a network exchange platform where we could do a little bit of this in software. And this is where we could start to manually in a swivel chair platform. So you'd go to a network engineer, he would swivel chair to another engineer, and they would configure all their switches to make sure layer 1, layer 2, and your base connection was up, it was flexible, and you could work with this a little bit more easily than you could with the standard cross connect. But then we decided we could do better, and we started to automate this and put some software behind it to make it more intelligent, faster, and have a little bit more wider reach. So what this looks like more today is this Access Marketplace. That's the product. We'll talk about this, kind of where it fits, and how this is what you're going to see across the industry, and the take that Ecologics has on it to provide software-defined interconnection to help you connect to the providers that you need so that you can either produce your product to get it out there, or you can, again, bring that corporate service in so you could take advantage of it. So this Access Marketplace builds on what we've been doing since 2016 with that Cloud Connect product. It just makes it bigger. So this is infrastructure which has been around for 5 years now. Wow. And we have taken what we have across our entire footprint in our 35 data centers within Ecologics. We have an intelligent switch fabric with all these switches that are redundantly connected in this larger mesh across our footprint. And we allow you to connect to one end to get to a provider on the other end. Now we're trying to do this in a carrier neutral way as best as possible to help continue to foster this ecosystem because we want to be a foundation. But what we're trying to do here is provide a virtual cross connect. Because again, physical cross connect, that is a cable from you to someone else to further your business need. That is a static cable. You're putting all of your traffic in one place. You're consuming physical infrastructure to do all of your product at once to get to one endpoint. So let's say you want to get to 5 different providers in an area like this. That would be 5 different cables. They could be in a market, maybe 3 in the same data center, 2 are Metro Connect. They have to go to different buildings. They could be spread between different building rooms. This can get really complicated. Instead, with a software-defined interconnection platform like this, also called a network exchange, you're going to connect with a single port on one side, and then you start to provision circuits and code. So what do I mean by that? Well, that means we're going to provision a VLAN for you. We're going to encapsulate it. We're going to transport it through the network, pop off that encapsulation and give it to the cloud in your name or provider or whoever it may be, and then we can bring that back. Now, because we can handle that encapsulation, that transport, that circuit provisioning, as well as deprovisioning all in code, we can bring it up in a few minutes and we can bring multiple connections back to one single physical port. So no longer do you need 5 cross connects to get to 5 different providers. You can use 1 cross connect to get to 20 providers if you wanted, just carving up bandwidth and allocating that bandwidth instead to your different endpoints and use an intelligent interconnection platform to help mesh that all together and bring it back to you, transport in and out, make it nice and easy. But there's a couple different ways you can use this, right? This is kind of a blank slate for someone on the left-hand side, so you, ideally in a Ecologics data center, connecting with a single port to get to these providers and carry that traffic back and maybe out to your office or wherever that may be. There's a lot that you can do there. So let's get a little bit more specific, right? And talk about kind of next level. With that kind of the core. With this next level, we need to kind of define first between a couple different items. So you may have seen in the industry, there's software-defined networking. There is software-defined interconnection. I've seen the term software programmable interconnection. We've seen network function virtualization. In technology, we love our 3-letter acronyms. In this case, what I'm really talking about, we have kind of in the middle here is where we fall. So software-defined networking can sometimes refer to, say, a virtual switch. So you could see this used for like a virtual Juniper device or a virtual Cisco device or an Amazon virtual private cloud switch. In this case, we're a little bit more in the camp of software-defined interconnection. So it's still similar. It's managed in software. It is a piece of software that is handling a larger switch fabric to make it appear like one giant logical switch that can cover multiple data centers or even a country, and just have people plug into 2 virtual ports and we can connect them. So we're going to fall a little bit more in that camp, and it's a little bit different than, say, software programmable interconnection. We may see too, which would be like really using software just to set a config on a switch and then walk away. We can do a little bit more than that and be a little bit more intelligent here. So I want to just be clear first, we're kind of in the middle, and we're using this to solve a couple problems and fit a couple use cases, which I have 8 minutes left to try to walk you through. All right, so some core values here. We are trying to provide connection faster, so you don't have to get an LOA. Why? Well, let's say you're trying to go to Zayo, one of the largest tier 1 telcos in the world. You want to get to Zayo, you need to call them, set up a contract, work out what service you're going to receive, where that demarc is for that service, and then they will give you a letter of authorization, an LOA CFA document, which tells Cologix where to run your cable. This is because you are 2 different independent third parties to Cologix, and we need that authorization for security, privacy, and record keeping to know where we are running that cable and that you both authorize us to connect that. Now, if you're coming to Cologix, though, we're the second party. You're coming directly to us, and we're going to give you that authorization to connect to us in your service order. So all you need to do is place an order, and we can do that intelligently through this platform. It can help us to tell us where we should do this and what data center, roughly where it's going to be connected with what media type. We can do a lot of this and preset it in software using some basic intelligence here, which means we can connect you faster. We can get you physically connected to our exchange with a cable much, much more quickly, and you don't need an LOA because we're giving you authorization in another way to connect to us. So that simplifies the process on the front end. Then we can create and destroy your circuits on there in minutes because we're taking a 1 gig, say, port. So let's, just as a simple example, we connect you to a Cologix switch with a 1 gig port on that. You can start to carve that up in as small as 50 megabit increments to a whole bunch of different clouds or service providers or others. And we can just create a VLAN on that. We can provide a path through the network for that VLAN. We can tag you on both ends of it and set up that encapsulation with a bit of software in just a few minutes. So all of a sudden, circuits don't take days for us to revision, even though as a company, we are really fast with cross connects. But we can do this now in 5 minutes. And even our best engineers, I love them to death, they're not going to be able to run a cable through our building in 5 minutes. So with this, once your cable is up, we can get your circuits, say a circuit to Amazon, a circuit to Azure, a circuit to your provider of choice who is on the marketplace. We can do that very quickly. All right, then layer 1. L1 compatibility is going to be managed. So that's our next step. Because you're coming to us with a cable, we can manage that cable on our end, and the cable going to the provider can be different on the other end, right? So you can come in with a copper, Ethernet, Cat5 cable, and that can go to single mode fiber on the other side. And we don't care about both sides because you're coming into a switch fabric that can be intelligent and it can manage that translation of media on both sides. And then on top of that, we can manage L2 compatibility. Let's say you're going to Azure. Azure and their express route circuits on the Microsoft Azure cloud are double tagged by default. Microsoft enforces double tagging. Q and Q. Now, if you don't know how to manage Q&Q or you aren't licensed for it, a lot of Cisco devices aren't by default with many customers. You can only support single tagging, or you just leave your ports wide open. You don't use VLAN tagging. You have an untagged access port. Well, yeah, we're going to have to manage for that, but we can on this platform. And if you were to cross-connect directly to Azure to try to manage that otherwise, you would have to meet their standard to communicate with them. Well, now what we can do with an intelligent platform in the center to speed up your interconnection, help it scale, is we can pop on 1 or more tags for you. We can transport that. We can hand it off to Azure or Amazon or other providers per their standard, and then we can push or pop tags based on what you choose on the other end of the connection to make it compatible with your equipment. So this speeds up connection because it means that you choose what is right for you at the time that it's right for you, and we can help manage that much more easily. You don't have to worry about it anymore. This is more of the process taken care of by software and hardware in our platform for you. Right, then your location doesn't matter on top of this. Well, that's cool. It means that you are in, say, the Montreal 3 data center, one of our crown jewel carrier hotel facilities that we have here at 1250 René Lévesque in downtown Montreal. Let's say the provider you're trying to get to is in our Montreal 7 data center, a couple kilometers away in the city, different address. If you needed to get to them otherwise, it's a matter of making sure you could get a connection through the city to get to them to terminate. It's going to take a little while. So a platform like this, blanket rate, blanket switch fabric. It's intelligent. Every single building, well, most buildings in the city are going to be on net from the Cologix footprint, so between Cologix facilities. So if you're in one facility, your provider's in another, doesn't matter. It's going to be the same. A 50 meg circuit there is going to be the same as a 50 meg circuit in the building. All looks the same around the city, so that we have this larger virtual switch mesh, which is going to allow you to connect to different points. So finding who you want to connect to is as easy as going into a portal, selecting that provider, and clicking connect to them, right? Then we can get it more predictable. You can start to get that efficiency on the port that we talked about, because we can drop off 20 different VLANs for 20 different circuits to a single physical port, right? So you don't have to have 20 cross connects anymore for those connections. You can do it in one place. A ton that you can do here. So it kind of becomes this virtual cross connect and cross connection redefined. It allows you to meet a couple use cases that now I'm going to have to fly through because I talk too much. All right, so you're a private company. One way to use this, the basic, you come into the data center, you connect to this exchange. You could have 5 different connections to 5 different clouds for private usage to bring that back into your company, so that you could have your private infrastructure running on here in a hybrid cloud architecture, right? So you have hardware here with Cologix. You can back that out and take it to your HQ or branch, so you can port it back, but keep some of your servers, your data in a secure facility with us, and then connect across an exchange. Again, it could be as small as a single physical connection to handle 5 different cloud circuits at once. So you get that managed connection, you get easy access, it's automated, it comes up in a few minutes, self-service, nice and easy. So kind of the future of scale, right? If you can go very quickly on these, then you can consume cloud more often and more flexibly. You can also start to use this to get to the larger ecosystem. So we have more providers signing up every day to be on this marketplace alongside cloud. So you can get to them with these same virtual circuits that you could get to cloud with, and you could have a VLAN being handed off for Azure and a VLAN being handed off for an in-market provider as well. And those can come back to the same port in the same way. So you start to get these efficiencies, not just with cloud, but with other providers. So if you're private corporate, you're looking for that inbound service, you want that consumption to come back to you, this is a good way to do it. You can have those circuits from that marketplace come back, get dropped off with you, and you can still do this hybrid kind of service for your internal apps as you need it. All right, if we need to look at the other direction, what about taking this through? Lost control, there we go. If you're an IT services provider, so say you're not necessarily bringing connections in for private use, you are providing an outbound product. You are reselling an internet circuit or greater peering or other IT or network management. You're reselling a hosted cloud environment. You are providing security management consulting, other services here. Well, that's going to look a little bit more like this. So you would have your customer, they can be in the Cologix data center, and they can connect across to you on the other side of that exchange. You could be listed on the marketplace alongside cloud. Customers could select your business, request a circuit, and when you approve, we will light up a circuit to you in the same way we would light it up to Amazon or Azure or other major clouds here, or Google Cloud too, right? So you could have your business, your product, your service here, and you'd be able to provide that from our footprint using all those benefits that I talked about before, and that software-defined interconnection now helps you scale and grow and do more on your service. All right, so it's easier. A lower barrier of entry is kind of my favorite here at the bottom. So a 1 gig port is going to be a little bit more affordable than a cross connect here. And your 50 meg, 100 meg, your basic entry circuits are going to serve a lot of business, are going to be more cost effective here. And you can put more circuits on one physical connection, so that can be more efficient. So it's easier to get to you. It's no longer a question of Metro Connect. Do you need a regional connection? Is there something else? Is it a cross connect in building? Which suite, which DMARC? No, all that's taken care of. All the layer 1 and layer 2 is taken care of. Everything is easy. It's a faster handoff. You get your business. All right, final use case here, last minute or so, is that on the company side, your reseller, you could be in our data center, you could take connections from this exchange, light them up. So light up a connection to Google Cloud, get that circuit for a customer to even their private environment. You would just need a Google circuit key from them. You light that up, you transfer it back to them if they're not in a Cologix data center. So you could be a cloud and ecosystem reseller, reselling the Cologix ecosystem through this platform. And we have customers who do this today, say reselling, again, Google circuits, Azure circuits, Amazon circuits. I mean, getting customers to cloud is big, and not everyone is in a data center. So if you can do that and then help them get back on a point-to-point circuit or a Metro Ethernet circuit, get that back to their office, to their equipment, let them get that private fiber access, they're going to get those benefits of a flexible platform like this, get the benefits of private fiber and latency, and they're going to be able to scale up, and that helps your business grow, which means we all grow together and everyone wins. All right, final points here. Why are you looking at a platform like this? Well, you want to find one that is open, neutral, accessible, easy to use, right? You don't want to be locked in. You don't want to be vendor locked. You don't want to be told what you can do, where you can do it, or be competing with the person that you're buying a service from, right? Never good. So we're trying to be foundational. We are layer 2 only to help our customers build layer 3 and above. And we are trying to help our customers really thrive within the ecosystem. We're not selling cloud services in the same way, hosting other network services, long distance transport. That's for our customers to do. Profiles are free. Anyone can get started. They can sign up for free in the Collogic, as long as they are Collogic's customer. Anyone in our ecosystem then can sign up on this marketplace for free. Advertise your business, get listed, help drive customers to your solution so that, again, we all win and we can get you connections, whether they're cross connects or they take advantage of software-defined interconnection for the scale and these benefits. And then because it's all done in software, it's faster. But goal here, what we're trying to do, we want to help you grow. We all grow together. Everybody wins. That's key. With that, that is my time. I'd suggest that everyone take a minute to go back to your main cVent Cloud Intelligence portal for the event and get signed up for that very last session here. So we're going to be closing things out with the CEO of Cologix, as well as going back to talk a little bit more with Yan-Bing Li of Google. All right. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. You take care.